a lot of things that are unknown in life, like where did the universe start or when did life on Earth start? But there are some things that we do know, and that is that DEI in the United States looks like it is on the way out, and that the Unknown Nine developer, Reflector Games, looks like they're in a tough spot after adopting a lot of these practices. So let's get started. My name's Ochiro. I've been developing games for like a decade and a half. Uh, the games industry is not in a particularly good spot right now. Seeing a report today where the IGDA, which is the Independent Game Developers Association, I think that's right. Yeah. International, my apologies. That 45% of everyone that is part of that association has been laid off in at least the last couple of years due to a lot of issues with the games industry. And those issues tend to stem from the fact that they're making games that players do not want to play. And in the case of a lot of studios, they end up attacking their audiences. Now, in some of these places, they've adopted a lot of DEI policies to, instead of promoting people that are actually good at what they do and actually care and are passionate about making games, and instead have been pushing towards hiring people based on sexual identity or the color of their skin, which pretty illegal to anyone that's ever had to go through any of those harassment trainings where they're saying like the things that you can and can't do. So we've got a new administration here in the United States, and as part of it, we got a memorandum that came out of the United States Office of Personnel Management in regards to a executive order that was signed by the new president, saying that these places need to all federal government like locations and like anything under the federal government, they had to get rid of DEI. They had 24 hours to let everyone know that they are going to be on paid leave until they're officially terminated, and these offices are done. There were some initial, like I saw initially some people talking about how a lot of places have been trying to hide their DEI practices. For example, NASA rebranded their DEI department into something called the Office of Diversity and Equal Opportunity. However, as of today, you get a big 404 on that page because even though they're trying to hide this practice, you can't hide it. Everyone knows what they're doing. Now, right now, this is just regarding the federal government. However, we've seen a couple things happening recently where a lot of CEOs of very big companies, I think most notably was Facebook with Meta getting rid of their like fact checkers, moving towards community note style with their website. Also taking tampons out of the men's restroom, which led to the question of why do you have tampons in your men's restroom? Them and like other companies have all been coming together and saying, hey, we want to support this administration because they don't want to get in trouble and they don't really care about any of these things. These are all just performative. Now, I would imagine as time goes on, the federal government starts putting in conditions on contractors for the government to say, if you want to receive contracts, we give a lot of contracts to various private entities in the United States to where we pay them money to do certain things. I would not be surprised if we would see in the next few years, or maybe even less, us starting to put things in them to say, hey, if you want these contracts, you need to not be discriminating in terms of having these DEI offices. For a lot of places, that's not going to apply to them. I think Sony's one of the big ones where everyone's really disappointed in the direction of Sony. But another, like one of the biggest players in the AAA space is Microsoft. And I know every time I say that, somebody hops into the comments and they're like, actually, they laid off some DEI people like last year, which means their DEI departments are gone. But if you just Google it, they have a huge diversity and inclusion section on their websites because while they got rid of some people in one of their departments, they have very much entrenched this into their company. They are still all in on a lot of these DEI practices, even though they've proven to be very disastrous for the businesses that push for them, because they end up getting people in that don't actually care about the product. They don't care about the consumer, don't care about the gamers. They're just there because they shouldn't be there. They should have been hired on merit and they weren't. Now, uh, I think we're going to see over time a lot more investors. Like, we have some investors right now that are very much against DEI, and we have others that are activist investors that are like, no, DEI should be a thing. A lot of this got started with BlackRock pushing ESG, people having ESG loans that they could give to people, and as long as they met a certain score, they were able to take out those loans. And from that kind of mechanism, we got a lot of rot in terms of little companies that were getting propped up to sell services to give companies higher ratings. I think the most infamous that we all know of is Sweet Baby Inc. Just this week, one of the companies that was working with Sweet Baby Inc., Reflector Entertainment, sent out this message where they effectively say, hey, things are hard. We're laying off 18% of our staff. And I saw this, and my first thought was, you're only laying off 18%? Like, their last game, Unknown Nine Awakening, was abominable. And what we see with a lot of these companies that end up contracting with people like Sweet Baby is, it's not that Sweet Baby and companies like that come in and ruin the companies. It is that these companies are completely devoid of creative vision, and they don't actually care about what they are building and providing to the players. The quality of a lot of these games is really mediocre, if not downright bad. And the writing's terrible, like super terrible. We're still going to be getting a lot of games from these companies like Sweet Baby that ended up failing because it takes a long time to make these games. I had initially, no, I still think we are going to get another batch of games, probably not as at bigger scales in terms of budget, of people that are looking at the current Trump presidency and are saying, we need to make a game that tells everyone that we actually hate fascism, because a lot of creative folks, as soon as Trump gets involved, they can't think of anything other than Trump. So instead of saying, why don't we make some kind of make-believe world in a sci-fi setting, they're like, you know what we need to do? We need to make this, about real life, basically, because everyone that, wants to consume something to escape, what they really want in that escapism is being drawn back in by ham-fisted messaging. We'll see over time how a lot of these companies have been trying to rebrand and try and, push towards bridge, where they're making it so that they don't need a DEI department, and that the functions of DEI are effectively done on, every manager, every part of the company. You're going to see a lot of this through Foxu News, and that's not Fox News like FOX. It's Foxu from Kershaw. She's been pretty great for a long time about looking at all this DEI and trying to hide it. She's not super active on YouTube, other than like the Side Scrollers podcast that she'll hop on. She may go to others, I don't really know. She is on Twitch if you want to hop into her channel. She's really great, and she does make comments on Twitter pretty regularly on various DEI related things, if you're interested in looking at that. And speaking of the Side Scrollers, just before we go, great podcast for one, and the second is they have the Real Game Awards that's coming up tomorrow as of time of recording. The what's his name from the Game Awards tried to I got a kick when he tried to trademark the phrase the Game Awards to try and keep side scrollers and them from making their own award show that is voted on by actual players, because the game, like the Game Awards through, I forget the dude's name, I don't care about him, but those are mostly done through journalists, and journalists are worthless. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys, the audience, have been voting on, who you believe should be winning in all these various categories. I'll be tuning in tomorrow. It's 5 p.m. my time. because I'm out in Pacific, out here in Vegas. But feel free to take a look if you like it. And if it's after it's gone, I'm sure it's going to be on YouTube. You can check it out if you're interested. But that's all for today. I need to get back to work on my end. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Farewell. Ah.